Hi, I'm Lasse Clausen with Tech Berlin, and I'm here with Kirkpatrick from Twilio, and you're the CFO of Twilio, right?
Yes, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Share with us, what is Twilio, and what do you guys do?
Yeah, so Twilio is a cloud communication platform for developers. We're global, and we allow developers to easily embed messaging, voice, and video into their software application, and it's on a pay-as-you-go basis.
So the example would be I sign up for, let's say, Snapchat or TapTalk, and I get the message confirmation code, and you would do, for example, that?
Well, actually, a common example is Uber car service. So when you call an Uber driver, if you speak to that driver anonymously, or when you get the message, that's through the Twilio platform. So if Book a Tiger here in Berlin, that SMS platform where you're communicating with the cleaner, that whole platform is done by Twilio, and that's global. So you can do that in 200 countries all over the world.
Okay, very interesting. What's the company, when did you guys start? What stage are you at? And
Sure, yeah. So we were founded in 2008. We have 500 employees. Last year we announced we crossed 100 million in annual recurring revenue, and we're adding over 1,000 developers a day to our platform. We have 700,000 developers right now.
That's really impressive, especially, for me, resonating 1,000 developers every day. And you guys started in San Francisco?
Started in San Francisco, and the company was founded, our CEO and co-founder Jeff Lawson is a developer at heart. So the company was founded by developers for developers, and that's our core focus, to give them the tools to easily embed communications into their software. And we're riding that trend of communications. It's become very contextual. Adding communications is really critical for a great experience for an application.
And probably, it sounds like you're very successful. Probably part of the success is basically the rise of mobile. And if you think about it, it seems obvious now, but the main purpose of the smartphone at the end of the day is still communication.
Yeah, absolutely. And it used to be, communication, you used to have to buy very expensive customized hardware. You would have to enter a relationship with a carrier, and to be global, you'd have to have multiple carriers. Then you would have to write software and professional service and customize to have a communication platform. With Twilio, you can plug that platform in and have a global communication platform at your fingertips. So it's very similar to Amazon Web Services, where you don't need to spin up and host hardware. We're very similar to that, except we're for communications.
Okay, so you're definitely part of the trend where software is eating software.
I would say we're a software company, and it's software taking over hardware, and communications has been one of the last areas to move to the cloud and move to software. We've seen it with ERP systems, we've seen it with other systems. It's finally the time for communications.
And so if you started in the US, San Francisco, I can imagine that most of your customers are in the US now. How is that? Are you sort of pushing more to go global now? What's sort of the, what's your pipeline for the next
year? Absolutely. So our customers, we did start in the US, in the Bay Area. What our customers have done is they have taken us global. So we talked about Uber, for instance. Uber, you can use your Uber application and get a car in countries all around the world. We work with Zendesk, which is a global help desk platform. So what we've seen is our customers forced us to be global, and so we to meet their needs are evolved and launched in multiple countries. So we moved there. Now what we're working on now at Twilio is having local sales and marketing, so we can address international customer needs directly.
Do you have is the entire team in San Francisco, or do you have some people here, or?
We're a very global company now. So we have a San Francisco team. We have a large operation in London, a development center in Tallinn, Estonia. We have a team here in Germany, Hong Kong, and we acquired a company called Authy that does it's an authentication API, which is headquartered in Bogota, Colombia.
So you're about 500 person strong team, very big. You guys are all over the place. You're probably also growing, at an amazing pace. How do you do it just operationally? How do you keep the company running and not just spinning out of control? Yeah,
it has been heavy growth, and we talked about some of these numbers. The core of it is having a value system. So we're all marching to the same beat. So we do have 9 core values at Twilio that are very important to us. They're actually real. They came from the top. They came from Jeff Lawson early on, and he lives it. and we live it. And a lot of those values, when we don't know what to do, maybe we don't have a process or procedure, something news on, you can always go back to some of those values and they'll tell you what to do.
So it's kind of this theme, or this practice that we've seen is being adopted more and more, where you have a mission-driven company, you're a value-driven company, and that enables employees where you don't have to micromanage so much anymore, but it gives them a clear directive, a goal where they have to go towards, but then have the freedom to make individual smaller decisions themselves?
Yeah, exactly. So two values we have. One is think at scale. So when we're building something, for instance, when we're building a service, that service needs to be global, it needs to be multinational. So when we're building something, our engineers are looking to make it 10, 100 times bigger. They're not building something so we have to redo it down the road. Another value that's really dear to my heart as the CFO is be frugal. So Twilio has been very successful. We have raised a lot of money, but frugality, is real critical to us, spending our money wisely. So people don't need a process or a system or a budget. They know one of our core values is to be frugal and spend the money as if it's their own.
And I think it's, to me, working with software developers who are your main customers, I think that's the way to do it, because they're probably the smartest customers you can have, and therefore the most difficult ones are usually software developers. So if you're trying to sell them something slightly superfluous or something not so necessary, those things are going to surface. So I think it's probably a good mantra, which also helps you be successful with developers.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on. One of our values is be humble, and you're exactly right. Developers are smart. They're cynical. You can't mess around with them. You cannot sell them something they're not going to use, and so we have a value of being humble, and our offering, it's a pay-as-you-go offering. So there's no upfront commitments, no contracts. They start using it, and if they use it and it's useful, they'll continue using it. So we kind of turn that model around, that selling model, but it's a difficult audience, but what's great about the developer audience is you can identify them just like an individual customer, but as a company grows, you get the value of a large enterprise as their businesses grow.
So is this your first time in Berlin?
Yes, it is. Yes.
What was your impression so far?
It's been fantastic. One, I'm just enjoying the space and the openness of it. It reminds me of South of Market, San Francisco in the mid-'90s, a lot of room and a lot of opportunity. So a lot of great energy.
So Tech Open Air is, what Tech Open Air is doing is sort of integrating art, music, science, technology. Have you sort of any experience with Twilio with this theme of where you have to integrate different sort of, different skills, different mindsets?
Yeah, what's been interesting at Twilio is being an API, being a platform, a lot of the uses, we did not contemplate how people are using our service and what they can do and use our service. So we have, government weather forecasting. We have some great stories where we have hotlines for abused people that text in terms of message and stuff. And so we run the whole gamut in terms of operation. We have thousands and thousands of customers, and we're amazed every day how the service is being used.
Thank you very much for sharing your story and Twilio's story with us, and thanks a lot.
Great, thank you. You're very welcome.